I'm John Booth, and during the next half hour we're going to visit the hometowns, the 6 teams in the Central Missouri Football Conference. One of the teams in the league, the Jeff City Jays, needs to win only 4 more games to set a new national record. But there are 5 other teams in the league that have nothing to gain but a conference title if they can beat the Jays, and they're sure going to try. To get a capsule look at the conference this fall, I talked to Columbia coach Bob Rourke.
Now, just to talk about some of the other clubs, according maybe in order of their finish last year, there's Jefferson City, who is no doubt the favorite in our league this year. They have, in the backfield, they have their quarterback returning. They have a boy by the name of Weber, who played right halfback last year, who's been moved to fullback. And I understand he's had a real fine practice season. Hannibal, I would say, has a real fine team coming back. Probably their most outstanding performer will be a boy by the name of Fort. He's a left halfback and a very fine runner. He has good size and fine speed. They have another team in our league which finished high last year was Rala, and they have a new coach down there. I just know very little about Rala, but we play them late enough in the season and we'll be able to scout them. Sedalia should be greatly improved this year. They have a couple of boys by the name of Johnson, a quarterback and a halfback, who are real fine football players, and they also have some linemen returning. I look for Sedalia to be greatly improved. The other school in our conference is Mexico. They also have a new coach, Coach Inlaw, who was at Marceline, and he had very fine teams up there for several years. And Mexico is rebuilding their program and made progress last year, and I'm sure they're going to continue this year and will be a real conference contender before November.
It's a pleasure for me to be talking with the football fans in the area today about our Mexico Bulldogs. We're looking forward to the season. We think that our boys here at Mexico, the Bulldogs, will be a real fighting team this year, and that we will be able to offer a lot of competition on Friday nights to our opponents. I'm new here at Mexico, so our first 10 days of practice have been getting acquainted session for me, and also teaching our offense and defensive patterns to our Mexico Bulldogs. We think our kids are progressing pretty well. We had an inter-squad game on Friday night, and we were well pleased. We have some young kids who are coming through for us and going to play a lot of ball, and we feel like that our team is progressing real well. We think the attitude on the squad is real good. I have some representatives of my football team here today that I would like to introduce. We have Wayne Hunthausen. Wayne plays an end for us, is a senior this year, and is looking forward, I'm sure, to a real fine season. And we kind of have Wayne here representing our linemen today. We're filming this today on Labor Day and had a little trouble getting in some of our ball players, so Wayne's representing our line here. Wayne, would you like to say a few?
Well, altogether, our line isn't really too big this year, although we've got a couple big boys. Center, Dean Patrick, a little over 200 pounds. Herc Schutte, another big boy and tough hitter. He's up there close to 200. And another boy playing opposite end me, Harold Fountain. He isn't really too big. He's a tall boy and built real good, and he's probably the best hitter on our team. And real good fire.
Representing some of our backs today, we have Bobby Phillips, one of our quarterbacks, and Drake Smiley, one of our halfbacks. Bobby and Drake do a real good job in our backfield for us, and I think probably they could tell us a little bit more about our backfield. Bobby's a senior, and Drake's a senior. Bobby?
Well, I think the backfield has a lot of depth this year. We're not very big, but we have a few big boys, a lot of fire and a lot of spirit, and I think we're going to win a lot of games this year.
Drake?
since we've had more time, we've had a few more boys out, and the speeds, I think, has come along real good, and the plays, a couple more weeks, we'll have a real smooth team.
We definitely realized that this is going to be a pretty tough season all the way through. The 6-3-1 record last year was outstanding for Rolla, the best year they've had in several years. We certainly hope that we can live up to the same expectations and at least hang pretty close. In the backfield, coaching-wise, we have Mr. Tony Callwhite, a graduate of Southwest Missouri State College, handling our backs. Over to left of him is Forrest O'Neill, the head track coach, which takes care of our line in the Rolla offense and defense. Our offense here this year, we might speak of just a moment. We'll be running out of a wing T offense. We feel we have enough variations off of it if we can get the personnel to crack and pop to get it moving. Defensively wise, we'll probably run out of a 54 like everyone else. And this is normal. This is what they ran out of here last year. And we'll probably stay pretty close to the same type of defense. We do have some personnel in there that are popping pretty good. And we're encouraged a little bit about the snap and pop we had out here last Saturday morning. To the left there is Tucker, Mike Tucker. He's a Letterman halfback. Next in line is Fred Parks. He's our starting quarterback. He's a senior, injured last year and didn't get to play too much. Next is a junior, Bill Angerman. We hope and we'll rely on a lot of the time to carry the bulk of that offense. At fullback, and we expect a lot of blocking out of this boy, as well as team leadership defensively, is Jerry Barnes. This is Rodney Reynolds here, the senior fullback, and Bob Gillette also running the fullback. Both of these boys work our defense as well. Next is David Kitchens, a sophomore halfback. Got good speed. We hope he picks up on his blocking as well. Next is our other quarterback, our alternate quarterback, Alan Brumwell, a junior. And Bob Parker, the last boy on the end, is a senior halfback we expect a lot of good running from. First is Joe Perkins. He's a senior. First year out for us. He's a transfer student in. Lucius Kitchens, a junior in. We expect a lot from, both pass offense as well as defense. Mike Jones is a sophomore. Came up through a good sound junior high program here, and we expect him to play ball this year as a sophomore. Next is Lee Miller, also a junior in. Lucius and Lee Miller will get the starting burst Friday night against Lebanon. Don Merrick is a transfer student from Rhode Island. This is his first year out here with us. He's a junior. We expect him to move and go right along with the group. James Jensen is a sophomore. Came up from a fine junior high program. We expect him to play this year. He's been hampered somewhat in the first of the season by a bad ankle, but we expect him and see him coming along a lot better now. Bill Murphy is a sophomore. So you can well see we've got a young ball club all the way through this year. On the left here is David Woodruff. He's a senior. He missed last year, but coming back pretty strong this year. Next is John Sykes. He's a junior. He also missed the ball club last year, but is coming pretty strong as a returnee this year. The mainstay in our line has been John Wiggins, real fine Letterman from last year, and did a real good job here at Rolla last year, and we expect as much, if not more, of him this year. Larry Brown, another sophomore, coming up off the junior high program, and is doing a real fine job for us. None of them too large, but we expect them to hit and move as quick as anyone in the league. Harold Persing, he's a Letterman from last year. He's just a little bit overweight. He's been working at the problem and trying as hard as any boy in the ball club. We expect for him to keep this up and continue to improve as the year goes on. Dalton here has been with us last year, squad member-wise. He's coming out this year for the first time. He's a junior and doing a real good job for us, and we expect to call on him both offensively and defensively.
Well, we have a group of kids who think they can win, and we have some ability. I just couldn't predict anything at this time. Maybe 3 weeks from next Friday night, I'll be able to give you a pretty positive answer on that.
Well, how does the team look? You've put them through a couple of scrimmages now. What do you think of them?
Well, we've made real good progress. I'm real happy. We have our problems, but many of them were anticipated, and we've made some progress. We're going to be probably average around 190 across the line. We have some boys who are at 200. We have some, of course, who are below that. So it'll be someplace in the 90s, 190 average in there.
Are you pretty well satisfied with the line as it stands now?
Well, at this stage, I am. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If we continue our improvement, we can't plateau off yet. We've got to continue to come on up and improve for at least another 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. What about your backfield now?
Well, we are a little short there. If we lack depth any place, of course, it's the halfback position. And we have had some injuries, nothing serious, but enough that it's hurt our practice. And we've had trouble having enough units together to work just like we'd like to work. We have had a little sprained ankle and lacerated knee from running the stadium steps over there, and some bruised ribs, which are real painful and slow and coming around, and it has affected our practice quite a bit.
Who do you think your toughest opponent in the conference and out this season will be?
Well, I think our toughest competition in conference is Jefferson City and Hannibal, and our toughest non-conference game will be Springfield-Glendale.
Mm-hmm.
All three of those schools have real fine football teams. All three of them defeated us last year, and
what's going to happen this year?
well, I think, or I hope that we can improve that record.
Good enough. Thanks very much, Coach. Can we go over and meet some of your players?
We sure can.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come over here, Bill. One of our co-captains, Bill Sangster, a quarterback. Another co-captain, a halfback, Herb Wachinski. An end, Bob Nolte. A center and fullback, Mike Kingery. A tackle, Dan Heibel. End, Dwayne Keller. A guard, Jim Crowell. Center, Lee Eckhart. A fullback, Ernie Carwile. Halfback, Gary Wiley. Another halfback, John Onofrio. A guard, Bob Klingon. A tackle, Callis, Ron Callis. Another quarterback, Mr. Weaver, Craig Weaver. And the last of our 16 boys here this morning, an end, David Ballinger.
Now, Rich, 2 tackles in a row, 4. Rich, you huddle them up back there every time now. Huddle up like we huddle up all over the field. Huddle up and call a defense. And Ford, don't be cheating in there too close now, because if they go outside, you can still get out there. You can get out there in plenty of time.
Right, right.
Our
basic problem in Hannibal this year will probably be a lack of depth. We have 8 returning lettermen, and they're all seniors, so we have no juniors who lettered last year as sophomores, where we feel like that our weakest spots will be in our interior line as far as depth is concerned. We have only 2 or 3 guards that we can depend on and only 2 tackles. We have no letterman tackles back this year. Our lettermen, we have a center who has lettered 2 years. Both our guards are lettermen. Both our ends are lettermen. We have a lettered quarterback who has lettered 2 years, a lettered halfback who has lettered 2 years, and a fullback. We have no letterman at the wingback position or at both tackle positions. And we feel like those are the gaps, especially offensively, that we'll have to fill this year. Offensively, we feel like we'll be able to move the ball. That's probably our strongest point. We have our quarterback back from last year, who is a good passer. We have 2 better than average receivers. And we have a fine running back in Maurice Fort. Fort's 170-pound, 5'11" senior, who is our team leader as a rusher, as a sophomore and junior. And we expect a big year from Fort. He was second-team All-District last year and made the All-Conference team. We'd like for you to meet a few of our senior football players that we hope will make Hannibal a conference title contender this year. First, we have Ernie Wooten, our strong side end. Ernie's a senior, 6'2", 181 pounds, and he's a letterman. This is Kenny Timbrook. Kenny's a senior, 175 pounds, 5'11", and he's a senior. This is Richard Stallings, our team captain. He's 175 pounds, our strong side guard. He's a senior. Here's Bob Heiser, senior center, 191 pounds, and he's a letterman. Wally Hare, 163 pounds. He's a senior letterman, weak side guard. Here's Mike Pinnock. Mike is a senior, 6'3", 240 pounds. He's our weak side tackle. This is Jim Hansen. He's our weak side end, 177 pounds, senior, 6'2", an all-district football player last year. This is Maurice Fort, 170 pounds, 5'11", a senior, halfback, second-team all-district last year. This is David Bailey, quarterback, senior, 190 pounds, 5'11", and he's a letterman. This is Bruce Tucker, fullback. He's a letterman, 165 pounds, 5'9". Howard Jackson. Howard's a senior, play a wingback for us, 148 pounds.
I like that we have a lot more balance this year than we've had in the past, and I feel that there's any one of 3 or 4 ball clubs that possibly could come in and win this championship in 1964.
Coach, I read someplace in a magazine or something like that this year's team lacks that outstanding athlete that'll spark the rest of the team. People like Keith Weber or maybe Charlie Brown, who's playing over at the university now. What do you think about that?
Well, we don't have what you call the real proven athlete at this time, John. In other words, we didn't have a real exceptional junior that will be a senior this year. But, however, we feel that we have on our squad at the present time, we have at least 2 and possibly 3 or 4 boys who could be of the Big 8 caliber before the close of the 1964 season. So,
who specifically are you talking about?
Well, we feel that in our backfield, we've got a real fine quarterback in Richard McCullough. He's not very big, but he's got a great arm on him. He throws the ball well, and about as cool a little customer as you'll ever find on a football field when the going's real tough. Also in the backfield, we have a real fine, hard-nosed, tough fullback in Chuck Weber.
Coach, you've won a lot of ball games in a row. What is it, about 48 in a row?
Well, that's what the newspapers tell us. But I might add that the thing we're concerned most is to win this first ball game against Raytown, I think, and we refer to that as number 1 and not as number 49.
Well, what about this game against Raytown? That's a week later than everybody else is starting. Is that affecting your practice any?
Well, we feel that our preseason practices were geared to bring this squad along where they would be ready to open the 11th, as they normally would open if we had that date filled. But right now, I would say that probably playing a week later has affected somewhat the morale and the desire of our squad.
Well, thanks very much, Coach, and good luck this season. And now let's step over and meet some of your players.
I would like to introduce the following offensive and defensive starters for the J football team from 1964. The first boy I have here is Richard McCullough, our senior quarterback, 160 pounds, was an offensive starter in 63. The next boy I have here is Jim Richards, a defensive end in 63. He will be started this year at an offensive end. He's a senior, 170. Next boy I've got is Gary Butler, offensive tackle, started as the end in 63. He's a senior, weighs 195. Next boy I have is Drew Love, a senior guard, 160, was a starter in 1963. Next boy I have is Chuck Weber, fullback, 180 pounds, a senior, was a starter on our 1963 ball club. Next boy I have is Tilford Hawkins, a halfback. He was a starter as a defensive cornerback in 1963. He's a senior, 170. The next boy I have is Dave Kinsler, senior end, 160. Played some defense on last year's ball club. Next boy I've got is Gene Snyder, a junior tackle, 170 pounds, a letterman. The next boy I have is Jim Goldhammer, a junior guard, 180 pounds. Next boy I have is Mark Sturt, a senior center at 170 at a letterman. Next boy is Mike Reed, a junior fullback, a letterman, 160 pounds and a junior. And the last boy I have here is Ed Snodgrass, a senior tackle at 200.
Well, now you're a 30-minute expert on Central Missouri football. As far as the winter goes, I personally think, well, you've heard the coaches and you've seen the teams. Maybe you better make up your own mind. Unfortunately, this is one of those stories that doesn't really have an end. We'll both just have to wait and see what happens. I do hope you see some of the high school football games in your hometown. High school football is always unpredictable and always